Hello, this is Monique Trottier of Boxcar Marketing, and I'm here to present Beyond Fans and Followers, Measuring Your Online Marketing Campaigns, which was presented to the BookNet Canada Technology Forum on March 24th, 2011 in Toronto. Not everything that counts can be measured. Not everything that can be measured counts. This is one of my favorite quotes by Albert Einstein, and it helps illustrate the fact that we're often awash in data, but not necessarily any better for it. This presentation is going to cover three main things. The first is what you need to measure and why. The second is how to make Google Analytics make sense. And the third is what useful information can be gleaned from social media marketing tools. Now, there are two main things we like to measure: sales, and things that lead to sales. In terms of sales, the best way to think about sales is through a goal funnel. A goal funnel is a path that you expect visitors to take on their way to converting to some particular type of goal. In the case of e-commerce sites, this goal is often related to order completion, viewing a cart, going to a checkout, and completing your order, getting to the thank you page. Goals can be set up in Google Analytics, and they provide two main things. One is an overall conversion rate, which allows you to do some forecasting. If you know that you can bring X number of qualified leads to your site and they convert at a certain percentage, then you can make assumptions about your sales and the amount of return on investment you need for your marketing. And the second is the ability to see where along a goal path users abandon the task. In this case, you can use this information to understand which pages of your website need to be optimized so that you have a continuous momentum for your visitor from the start of that path to the very end goal. Setting up goals in Analytics requires you to have admin access to the account and an understanding of what URL is the final destination. This is the URL for the thank you page, not the URL of the product page or any page leading up to that main ultimate goal. So if you can see user managers and the edit buttons in the Google Analytics dashboard pane, then you have admin access. If not, you need to find out who does have access and whether they can give you access. Once you click Edit for your Google account, you'll be presented with a long form that allows you to enter your goal information, in this case, order completion for our English language pages. You're going to make sure the goal is active. And Analytics goals have 5 sets with 4 goals within each set. So you may have a goal set for all things related to ordering. You may have a goal set related to conversion paths for a contest or perhaps an email newsletter sign up. Goals can be used again for any particular path that you expect visitors to take on their way to converting to a particular goal. So it's a consistent path that may be for order completion or download or an email sign up or a contest entry form. The goal type is the URL destination. This is the final thank you page. And then you're asked to enter goal details. Match type is the type of URL that you have. The little question mark next to match type or any of the fields in Google will give you more information on how to enter the correct fields in our data for that field. Exact match is used if you have a standard URL that is consistent. You may use regular expression or head match if your URLs are dynamically generated with user IDs, for example. Goal value. Goal value is important because in the case of order completion, if you are only selling one book, then the goal value may be the value of that book. But for publishers who have multiple books with multiple dollar values, then what you want to do is set up a graduated scale. In the case of e-commerce, order completion is 100%. You've earned revenue from that. whereas an email sign up or a contest entry may be only worth 50 points or 25 points or 10 points, depending on how you structure your scale. The important thing with setting goal value is to discuss that with your marketing department or your sales team or whoever needs to have insight or offer information or investment into how you're defining those goal values. But if you can establish a criteria for the value, then when you're looking at your analytics, you'll be able to see which actions have the highest conversion, and of those actions, which actually bring the company the most value. And again, in the case of e-commerce, an order completion would be worth 100%. Following down the goal funnel, this is where you enter all of the consistent steps for goal completion so that you can track where abandonment rate falls along the path. Now, the second thing we like to measure are the things that lead to sales. Twitter followers, customer feedback, Facebook fans, all of these things are things that lead to sales. We understand them as micro actions or precursors to the sale. They have a non-financial impact on the company, but again, as marketers, we know that these are influencers to purchase decisions. So it's in our best interest to track them and to have an understanding of which of these factors actually lead us to a sale and which factors are closest to the sale versus furthest away. If you have a look at the items in this list, they all have to do with gaining permission from your customer to continue marketing to them. The implicit agreement is that I trust you as an organization to give you my email address or to follow you on Twitter or to like you on Facebook. And in exchange, you're not going to spam me. You're not going to sell my email address. There's an agreement based on trust. And there's action and reaction. I give you my email address in exchange for relevant information that comes to me in your monthly newsletter. So because these are trust-based relationships, they're really all about building relationships with your customer and understanding where that customer is in the customer life cycle. Another way to look at these actions are to really think about the customer life cycle from acquisition all the way to referral and a sale. In the case of acquisition, we can start measuring things like the number of website visitors. We are trying to acquire this audience. So number of visitors to the site, the time they spend on site, these are things that will help us understand whether we're acquiring new visitors to our site. Activation. We want to activate the customer. We want them to take some type of action. This is the first stage of that action and reaction calculation. So in terms of metrics, we can look at the number of pages that people view within a visitor session. We can look at the number of repeat visits. Does someone like our website so much that they're willing to come back a second time? It tells us that our content has some value for them because they're willing to repeatedly visit the site. Will they take a bigger action like subscribing to our email or our blog? In terms of marketing, it's important for us to build our list so that we have a way to consistently build the pie. We're increasing the number of customers who we're able to talk to, who we're able to market to in any given day. Actions like account sign up, where your customers provide you profile data, gives you insights into that customer, their age, their geographical location, their interests. Again, any type of action that provides you with more details or insights into that customer is of value. Same with fans and followers on Facebook and Twitter or any other social media site. Because those sites have profile information, you can learn a lot about your customer and get a better understanding of who they are and what types of things they're interested in and the types of conversations they're having so that you can join those conversations. And in joining those conversations, you have a better chance of talking about your products or your services, your authors, your company, your brand. Retention. We don't just want those customers once, and we don't just want them twice. We don't want them to just sign up for the email but never open it. We don't want them to fan us because it's part of a contest but they never actually read our messages. When we talk about retaining our audience, we're talking about retaining the numbers, but also retaining their attention. So in terms of retention metrics, we can look at email opens. We're not just sending the email, but they're actually opening it. They're actually clicking on items in that email. If it's Twitter or Facebook and we're posting links in our status updates, are our audience members clicking to those links and coming to our website? What can we see in terms of the click-throughs in those social media accounts, and what does the referral traffic look like to our site? What kind of repeat visits do we have from those various marketing channels that we're using? Further down the scale is referral. This is the ultimate step before a sale, where you have fans who like you so much they're willing to refer you to a friend. This may be in the form of press mentions if they're media. It may be retweeting your Facebook or Twitter content. It may be a blog post with a mention and a link to your site. But one of the key things to look at in your analytics data is which sites are referring more than one visitor to your site, and more important, which sites are referring you visitors who activate. This type of information helps you understand what's happening on your site and who your biggest fans are. Who are the biggest influencers that have a value to the business because they're leading their visitors or their referrals or their recommendations into this customer lifecycle path. And of course, sales, which we talked about, is our final ultimate goal. Another quote for you: if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. This is one of my favorite misquotes from Alice in Wonderland. And really the number one reason why we don't know if our online marketing is effective or not is because we have not defined our goals. Without clearly defined goals, we have no criteria for evaluating success. Your goals outline your intent, and your intent informs what you can measure. So implicit in all of this is that you've actually determined what the goals are for your particular marketing campaign. So to look at that, I have some examples. The first is of a simple contest. In this particular case, your goal may be to reach a new audience or to reinforce your connection to an existing audience. So perhaps you have a collection of cookbooks that you want to bundle together into the form of a contest. It's a way to reward your blog followers or your regular fans and followers by offering them contests, a chance to win a collection of these cookbooks that they've been drooling over for the last couple of months. Because it's a contest will often attract new audience. So contests are great for leveraging publicity and media and referrals and recommendations of people who in your existing audience get excited about entering a contest and then telling their friends. So in terms of our marketing plan, starting with our goals, we're going to put into our marketing plan our goal of reaching a new audience and our goal of reinforcing our connection to an existing audience. If we think back to that customer life cycle, reaching a new audience is really about acquiring the traffic. They're brand new, so we need to acquire them. We need them to come to our website. Ideally, they'll activate, they'll enter the contest, or they'll subscribe to the site so that they get a chance to hear about upcoming promotions or news or contests, and we'll be able to retain them, retain their attention for the duration of that contest, retain them beyond the contest. So in terms of the actions that we're going to take as marketers, we're going to listen to the online conversations that are taking place about cookbooks or foodies or any type of conversation where we can join that conversation and eventually announce the fact that we're running a contest. Perhaps that person would be interested in entering. So we're going to listen to the conversations online. We're going to monitor what's happening so that we can find ways to introduce ourselves and introduce our contest in, of course, a non-spammy way. The reaction we're looking for from the customer is a response. We want them to visit the site. We want them to subscribe to our email newsletter. We want them to enter the contest. We want them to return. So in terms of those metrics, we're looking for @mentions or retweets or comments within our social media profiles. People who are expressing some type of interest in the contest, either by referring it to friends or commenting about how great it is or contacting us directly for information. The other thing we can measure is subscriptions to our email newsletter or to our RSS feed. You want to build into your contest entry form the ability for people to stay in touch with you, to hear about other contests. Fans, follower numbers. Again, you want to measure and look at what is your baseline before you run the contest and what does this look like during and after. Can you move the needle in terms of the ratio of fans or followers that you get per day? You want to look at account signups, return visits, any type of factor for you that helps indicate you're reaching a new audience, you're gaining new fans and followers. Now, for reinforcing your connection to your existing audience, because you've already acquired these people, you need to retain them. You don't want to be spamming them, you don't want to be talking too much, you don't want to be talking too little so that they drift away. You want to find that happy balance, and you want to be impressing them enough that they'll refer you to friends. And ideally, they'll go out and buy those cookbooks if they don't win. So the actions for you as a marketer is you're going to talk to your existing audience because you're already talking to them. You're already engaged in conversations. You've built relationships with them. So you're going to talk to them. You're going to pitch them. And if they take a desired action, if they respond to you, if they visit the website, if they act by entering the contest or referring a friend, then what you want to do is thank them. You want to reward positive behavior and tell your audience that you're listening, and you want to thank them because this is what's going to generate more positive behavior. In terms of your metrics, it's many of the same things: the @mentions, the retweets, the comments, the repeat visits, the email opens, but also click through on those emails, on those email pitches that you're sending directly to bloggers. You want to look at your goal funnel because your existing audience are the ones who are most likely to enter the contest. They already have an established relationship with you. They already trust you. So they're more willing to enter a contest. You want to look at those goal funnels. You want to look at online mentions. Who's referring the contest to other people? And of those people who are referring other people, who's converting? Who's sending you traffic that converts on the site? Google Analytics has a feature called Annotations. On the dashboard level, along your timeline, there's a little zipper or window that goes up and down. What you want to do anytime you run a campaign is make sure you're making an annotation so that in your analytics, when you get a spike in traffic, you're able to look back at the annotation to see, oh yes, this is when we started our Facebook ads, or this is when our email newsletter went out, or this is when this particular campaign or co-op happened in store. Any of these marketing actions you want to plot along your grid so that you're able to look at them after the fact and be able to say, okay, what happened with this spike in traffic? And look at that and say, oh yes, this is when our October newsletter went out. And we know, because we've annotated and can look at the data over time, that every time we send out our newsletter, we drive traffic to our website. And if we've also set up our goals, then we're able to see our newsletter traffic that comes to the site during this particular campaign period converts at this rate. We tell them about books in our newsletter, they come to the site, they view those profile pages, and they buy or don't buy. They take this action or don't take this action. These are the types of things that you can see within analytics, but ideally you have those annotations so that you're not guessing or you're not having to look back after the fact and wonder why did we have that spike in traffic? Or in the reverse, why did we have a dip in traffic? What happened? This is when our campaign ended. This is when co-op ended. This is when the Facebook ads ended. These types of start and stop lines are important to annotate in analytics. The way to see analytics is to view the dashboard, to click on the little arrow that opens or closes that window, click the Create New Annotation tab, and and enter your information. Another type of metric or thing that is of interest in Google Analytics is the title or author-specific searches. So under traffic sources and keywords, you're usually presented with a list of keywords. At the very bottom of that list is a search. So if you have run a campaign around a particular title or a particular author and you want to see if you've increased awareness of that title, the best thing to do is to search for that author name or the book title. And you'll be able to see before our campaign started, we didn't have any traffic for this particular author or title. People didn't know that it existed. But after this particular campaign we ran, brand awareness increased. We can see that because we're now getting title or author specific searches to our site for this book that previously wasn't on people's radar. Audience segments. Audience segments are a handy way to combine traffic from multiple sources so that you can get a better idea of how that traffic is comparing to other traffic on the site. So in this example, if I wanted to see how does my Twitter traffic compare to my Facebook traffic compared to visits from all traffic, then I can see that through audience segments and through checkboxes with the custom segments that I've already established, and I'll talk about how to establish those in a second. So with audience segments, you may create a segment that is all your social media channels. So if you're on Twitter and Facebook and Flickr and YouTube and SlideShare, you may create an audience segment that combines all of those into one view so you can see how does my social media traffic convert on the site, or what actions do they take compared to referral traffic from across the web, or paid search traffic, or my organic search traffic. It gives you a greater ability to compare. So how do we set up audience segments? In the left-hand side of Google Analytics, towards the bottom is custom reports and audience segments. You click on audience segments and our advanced segments, and you'll be presented with a way to sort of create your audience segment. What you do in order to combine these things is under dimensions, you're going to click on source and drag and drop source into the right hand field so that you've got source, and then the condition is contains and the value is Twitter, because in this case we're going to look at all our Twitter sources of traffic so we can combine them. Because there are many third-party applications to manage Twitter, you might have in your analytics traffic from twitter.com, mobile.twitter.com, plus if you're using bit.lys or URL shorteners of any kind that are specific to Twitter, then you may want to combine that as well so that you get a comprehensive look at what your Twitter traffic is doing rather than just a very small sliver of it that is coming from twitter.com, which is how each of these elements appears in your referral traffic. So the idea here is you want to combine the sources. So once you have one set up, then you'll be able to drag and drop the word source from the left-hand column into the right-hand column. Again, put your condition, and in this case I've done bit.ly, which is a URL shortener. When you have a really long URL and you want to condense it so that you can use it in 140 characters for Twitter, this is often a tool that you use. A bit.ly, an owly, there are many different shorteners. Keep in mind that URL shorteners often get used in email campaigns as well, or passed around by users. So if you're combining, if your goal in this case is to see your audience segment for all things related to Twitter, if you're going to use bit.ly, then you want to make sure that it is your specific bit.ly that you're using only in Twitter. So you would enter the full URL. So it would be bit.ly/ and then whatever the number is or the word is that is specific to a term or URL that you're using within Twitter. So you want to name that segment, you can test it out and see what kind of traffic you're going to get, and then you're going to save it. And once it's saved, you'll be able to, in any grid within Google Analytics, click in the top right hand corner to select your segment, and it's going to overlay that traffic data with whatever data you're already looking at. It gives you a clearer idea of how this particular traffic compares to the traffic you're looking at. So another example, a simple campaign to build reputation. We often come across this in publishing, where we want to use a blog to establish authority or expertise for an author. The author may want to set up the blog on their own, or you may be thinking about creating a microsite for that particular author and their series of titles. The main thing is to focus on good content. Good content needs to come first and self-promotion second. So online, there is nothing that is a greater turnoff than someone who is only singing their own praises. So you want to make sure that you're establishing reputation and authority and expertise by building up great content that's going to get retweeted or linked to by other people. Which leads us to the types of things that we can measure. If we think about our goal of establishing authority or expertise, then what establishes that idea of reputation online is that a website shows up in a particular position in relation to competitors in search engine results. So when I type particular keywords into Google or Yahoo or Bing, what web pages appear? So our goal in this case would be to have our website rank in a particular position, say position 1, 2, 3, or at least on the first page, in relation to competitors by a certain date. So you always want specific measurable goals. It's not a royal commission where 3 or 4 years later we're going to see if there's some data that we may or may not be able to apply. Online, it's about fast feedback loops. What can I learn within a day? What can I learn within a week? What can I learn within a month? So in this particular case, if we're trying to build reputation, then I want to be looking at how does my position within search results change week over week or month over month. In terms of the exact metrics, you can look at PageRank, but you can also look at the factors that contribute to PageRank or contribute to your Google position within search results. And some of those things include the number of inbound links from influential blogs. So are other people vouching for you? If yes, then it establishes a certain level of expertise or authority that we as humans understand and also that search engines understand. So number of inbound links from influential blogs. May also look at the number of bookmarks in social media sites like Delicious or Stumble Upon or Google Reader. It's the number of bookmarks, people who are saying, yes, this content is interesting. And again, Google position within search results, there are things like the SEO PageRank tool that will help you understand what your rank is for particular keywords. Now, reputation, it's not very reputable, or it doesn't suggest you have a lot of authority if you don't have a certain level of traffic to your site. So one of your goals may be to increase traffic per month by a certain percent. In that case, your metrics are going to be looking at the volume of organic traffic per month, the number of inbound links from influential sites, the number of email subscribers or fans or followers who could then be directed to the site. You're looking to establish your audience numbers. And if there's e-commerce on the site, then you want to be looking at your revenue. So the dollars per month that are attributable to referrals from blogs or referrals from other people. This again is what helps establish reputation or expertise. If someone is willing to say to a friend or a family member or colleague, this is worth spending money on, I highly recommend this particular book or author. So in that case, your metrics may be around segments and funnels, which we talked about earlier, and being able to look and see what traffic converts to sales and where that traffic is coming from. A really simple campaign to increase engagement. I made this slide orange because Gary Vaynerchuk's new book, The Thank You Economy, is all in orange. The key idea here is that you want to be nice to customers who mention your company, your authors, or your titles on Twitter. Basically, you want to be successful by thanking other people and by recognizing their contribution to your success. So a very simple campaign to increase engagement, to increase conversations or positive comments about your company, authors, or titles within a particular channel, say Twitter, for example. Your goal is going to be to increase the number of positive conversations. The things that you can measure are the number of positive comments that you send to customers per week within a given time frame. So again, specific measurable goals. But you're going to look at how many times do I thank people, how many times do I send positive vibes into the world, and how many conversations get started in return because of those comments. And further to that, what number of additional activation points are a result of this positive conversation that I can generate. Another example, this is a problematic campaign to increase offline sales. It's problematic not because it is impossible, it's just a little bit tricky within the book industry, but it's something that works within other industries. And often if you're running your own e-commerce, then there are ways for you to sort of influence some of the things that happen, or if you can partner with another company, or if you can do something that's location specific, then you can get some good synergy going, and this is a great campaign. But again, as I say, I understand that it's slightly problematic within the book industry. So the goal here will be to implement a promotion on social media with a specific store. You're going to give participants a printable campaign voucher so that you can track offline sales. So here your goal is going to be the number of vouchers that are downloaded, or number of discounts or coupons or whatever you want to call them. You're going to look at monthly sales. Were you able to increase those monthly sales? You're going to coordinate with the store who's able to count their traffic, their foot traffic per day. Again, this is one of the reasons why it becomes problematic in books. But for an industry like automobile sales or car dealerships, people are counting the number of people that come onto the lot because they understand that the more people they can get on the lot, the better chance they have of closing a deal. They know what those conversion rates are. So again, if you can find a bookstore who you can partner with, who is willing to be an active partner with you, then this is a great campaign. What you're trying to do is attract an audience in a particular area. So within Google Analytics, you can also see with your site traffic and the people downloading those vouchers, where did they come from? Where geographically do they live? Is it in Vancouver or North Vancouver, West Vancouver? Is it Richmond? Is it Toronto? Is it Barrie? Is it Scarborough? Where does that traffic come from? Google Analytics will help you filter down to see geographically where that traffic is. And if we look at that first goal of download a voucher, when you set up proper goal funnels, then you can also look at the number of impressions on that download page. You can track form completion, and then you can track downloads of the vouchers. All things that are influential or precursors to a sale, right? These are the micro actions we were talking about earlier, things that lead to a sale. So a simple campaign to increase online sales. In this example, we're going to use Twitter or Facebook to inform prospects about special promotions. You want to make this exclusive and a limited time offer, limited to customers. So one per customer for our blue light special or our noon special today from 12 till 1 Eastern time. All of our finance books are on sale at a 30% discount. So in this type of example, the goal is really to increase monthly sales. What can you do to measure monthly sales that are attributable directly to social media marketing? You're going to do your audience segments and goal funnels in order to establish that particular metric. As a goal, you're going to increase the percentage value from new customers. So if new customers typically only buy one book, maybe your incentive is trying to get them to do a 2-for-1, or to upsell them for some other package once they've arrived because of the special promotion. This is again where segments and funneling of new customers, it makes it easier to see of those new customers what types of actions are they taking compared to your existing customers. Third goal, increase conversions from Twitter traffic. So your goal is to do a promotion in a particular channel in order to get that particular audience to convert. So again, segments and funnels, you're going to look at monthly revenue generated from customers from Twitter. These are all things that if you set up segments and funnels, you'll be able to see. And then ideally, you're going to retain a certain percentage of those customers. You want repeat customers from that group. You want to monitor your unsubscribe rates, or people who are interested in a contest or a coupon or a discount are not necessarily your evergreen customers who are going to come back repeatedly. We know this, so at the outset we want to set some type of metric where we're going to retain, is it 80% of those customers, 50% of those customers, 10% of those customers? The very first time you run one of these campaigns, you're going to have to make some educated guesses about what percentage of new customers you can retain. But as you measure this, campaign over campaign, you'll be able to establish some baseline numbers so that you know what a reasonable range is for your particular company. So social media measurements, because not everything is campaign specific, there's a lot of day-to-day work that goes on within social media channels. You might want to look at tracking metrics by platform. And there are a couple of things that go beyond just measuring fan or follower numbers that really help us get a sense of our audience and whether our content is resonating with them, if we are really retaining their attention, if we are really getting referrals out of that audience, and if we're really getting sales. So in terms of email, you want to look at the ratio of posts to opens. You want to have an idea of the answer to that big question, which is, how often should I send out my email newsletter? Now, usually I tell people send out your email newsletter as often as you have interesting things to say. So for some people that may be monthly, for others it may be weekly, but you want to establish the expectation with your audience. Again, it's a trust relationship. It's an action and reaction. You've promised them something, so you want to deliver on that promise. What you want to look at with email is how many opens are we getting per newsletter? Are we sending too frequently, or are we not sending frequently enough? You want to play with that send so that you can get an idea of what's going to work for your audience. Twitter and Facebook, you can look again at the number of posts to retweets, or the number of posts to interactions on Facebook, things like shares or likes or comments. These are important things to measure because social media takes time. It takes time to engage with your audience in these channels, so you want to make sure you're making the best use of your time. Keeping that in mind, peak conversions is the next thing you can look at. If you are spending the time to write your email newsletter, you don't want to send it Friday at 5 p.m. when no one's going to look at it over the weekend and they're going to see it buried in the inbox on Monday, maybe flagged to read it later, and by Wednesday have totally forgotten about it. This is not making good use of your marketing time. So you want to be using a third-party email management system like Campaign Monitor, Constant Contact, MailChimp. These are tools that are going to provide you metrics on opens, on click-throughs, on subscribes, on unsubscribes, on forward to a friend, and also when people open that message and how many days apart and what time of day. Because that's going to help you understand if you should be sending your email newsletters on Tuesday at 9 a.m. or Thursday at noon. This is valuable information to have. Same thing for Twitter and Facebook. There's probably an ideal time of day where the majority of your audience, in particular your influencers within that audience, are participating in those channels. There's nothing like showing up at a cocktail party when everybody has left or nobody's there yet. So the social web is really like being part of a big conversation at a cocktail party. So you want to make sure that you're social butterflying at the same time that everybody else is. Content resonance. This is the third thing that is highly important within social media channels, and that's to have an understanding of whether you're retaining your customers' attention. And you get a better idea of whether you're retaining their attention if you can see that they're taking actions that suggest that. So you're sending an email and they're actually opening it. Not only are they opening it, they're clicking on the links that you've provided, and they're not unsubscribing. In terms of Twitter, you get an understanding of whether your content resonates with people if they're willing to retweet it. It suggests a certain type of endorsement of your content if they're sharing it with others. At mentions, recos, or recommendations, these are other types of conversations that happen in the social web that you can be monitoring to see when people are talking about pain relief, are they talking about Tylenol? If not, how can you insert Tylenol into the discussion? Now, that's applicable to any particular type of book or subject matter that you have. If I have a book on football, when people are having conversations about football and reading and great books, are they talking about my particular book? Facebook fans. If someone likes your page, then your newsfeed will show up on their wall if your content continues to be liked and shared and commented on by other people who are fans. If not, then your content is going to stop appearing on your fan walls because there's not enough interactions. There's no reason for Facebook to want to show your content when nobody's interested in it. So being able to get those likes and those shares and those comments, any of those interactions are really important to ensure that your message is actually reaching its intended audience. So the data is black and white. I've given you some colorful examples to help you understand how your creativity can be used to set those goals and to look beyond fan and follower numbers to understand the success of your marketing campaigns. And in summary, to make sure that your data is working for you, you want to remember the overall assumption here, which is that you have a clearly defined goal. You have specific, measurable, time-based goals. The intention is clear behind your marketing activities. Once you have that established, the first thing you want to do is to set up your baseline. You want to understand those numbers before and after. So if you're going to track the number of new email subscribers you get, you better know before your campaign starts how many email subscribers you have. Otherwise, you're going to get to the end of your campaign and you're not going to know how many extra people you got. Same with Facebook fans or Twitter numbers. Anytime you have a number or a thing that you want to track, how many visitors do we get on average per day before the campaign versus after the campaign? You want to make sure you've got your baseline, your before and after. In particular, the before. Otherwise, it's very difficult to answer the after questions. The second thing you want to do is use Google Analytics, the annotations, in order to create your activity timeline. You're looking for a way to see your marketing activities overlaid with your traffic data and analytics. All of that content is easy to export or look at against sales data. So you want to find the person in your organization who really understands the sales data, who's already manipulating Excel grids in order to look at frequency, transactions per month, your reach, your net new customers, your yield, your dollars per transaction, and to be able to overlay that sales data with your marketing activity timeline that you're annotating and those numbers and metrics that you're tracking in terms of sales and things that lead to sales through your online activities. The fourth thing you want to do is overlay those micro actions. These are the things that we're talking about that lead to sales, those conversion precursors, things that lead to a sale or influence a purchase. Those are all the things that you're tracking in terms of social media, the mentions on blogs, on Twitter, on Facebook, email opens, traffic, click-through rates. You don't want to overwhelm yourself by the amount of data that you're collecting or trying to track in order to make sense. What you want to do is pick the 5 to 10 conversion goals per campaign that make sense. So we can track an infinite number of things, but really you want to track the things that make the most sense to the particular goals that you've established from the outset. What you're trying to do with all that data and the overlay of data is to be able to identify patterns, to be able to say, these activities have this effect on sales, have this effect on our ability to gain permission from our customers to keep marketing to them. So you want to be able to understand the actions and reactions, in particular the things that lead to sales, and how you can create forward momentum within your customer base that moves them towards that sale. And you want to be looking at all those patterns of data to be able to understand what you can optimize. Because sometimes it's not doing something completely new or different. Sometimes it's just looking at, is our order form too long? Is the billing information difficult? Do I have trust symbols on this page? Maybe there's some very simple things that could be changed or updated on the site in terms of design or workflow that will help you convert at a much higher rate. So all of these things that help you measure campaigns are going to help you see what's working or not working. Now, that colorful part that I was talking about is that the data is black and white. The data is always going to show you whether it's working or not working. The difficult thing is it's not going to tell you why it's not working or not are working. So that's when you have to put on your creative hat and understand, if it's not working, why? What can I optimize? What's happening on this page? So goal funnels, audience segments, annotations, all of these things are going to help you understand what's happening on your particular site for your audience. So I have a collection of resources here that may be of interest to you. These are not necessarily the best or a comprehensive list. I was creating these slides very quickly, so these are the ones that came top of mind. In terms of tools for data visualization, tableausoftware.com is an amazing tool that allows you to take data that is in databases, is on servers, is in Excel grids, and combine it together in order to better visualize that data. I highly recommend it to all of the data geeks in the room. Please check out that tool. If you're a marketer who is responsible for blogger outreach, you want to understand the competition and what they're doing and how you can compare. Maybe you're trying to establish some baselines because you don't really know industry averages. You can look at TweetStats or Clout or Evaluator, which provides a Facebook score. Those 3 tools will give you some sense of follower numbers, retweets, or a particular influencer score. Google Reader is handy if you're trying to see how many subscribers someone has for their blog. Google Reader will only tell you the number of subscribers who are using Google Reader to use to read the RSS feed, not necessarily Bloglines or any other tool. But again, if you're looking for some comparables in order to understand where you stand, then those tools are handy. If you're doing the blogger outreach or Twitter outreach, then the audience research stuff, Tweet Search, will let you look for Twitter followers within a certain geographical location or who have particular keywords in their bio. Facebook ads, if you want to get a sense of the market size within Facebook for a particular interest, then use the Facebook ads tool to get a sense of what those audience numbers are. That's part of what Facebook offers for their advertisers, is insight into the audience. So you don't even have to run the ad, you can still get an idea of what that audience size could look like. In terms of monitoring tools, Google Alerts lets you use keywords, save those search phrases, and then be updated by email either daily or as it happens or weekly, with a little digest of what new sites are linking to you or using particular keywords. You can use those same keyword searches and save those searches within Twitter. So if you're not using any Twitter tool, then you can use Advanced Twitter to create that search and then save the RSS. You can subscribe to the RSS feed for that Advanced Twitter search and then use something like Google Reader in order to monitor those particular phrases within Twitter. Or if you're using Hootsuite or TweetDeck or any of those Twitter management tools, then you can save your search within that tool and it will appear as a separate column, which again allows you to easily track conversations that are happening around particular keyword phrases. Yahoo Pipes, if you search for Yahoo Pipes social media fire hose, there is a Yahoo pipe where you can again enter keywords and it's going to aggregate all of the conversations that are happening across the social web and show you that in a single dashboard. NetVibes gives you another form of that dashboard, which is saved and logged in and is always there for you, and you can set up a bunch of different parameters. And Radian 6 is a more advanced tool, and it also is more of a pro tool. There's a significant cost associated with using that particular tool. Now, again, there are all sorts of resources that you can use. These are just the ones that came top of mind. So if you have a resource that you would like to share or mention to other people, then please, absolutely, if there's comments, wherever you're seeing this particular presentation, offer some value to your audience members. So that's me, Monique Trottier from Boxcar Marketing, and I'd be thrilled if you asked me about this stuff, and you can download this presentation on slideshare.net. My username on SlideShare is so misguided. If you search for Beyond Fans and Followers, Monique Trottier, you'll find the presentation. Thanks very much. Have a nice day.